These are the top 5 mistakes that sports bettors are making that are losing them money. I'll tell you the mistakes you need to watch out for, but I will also tell you what you should be doing to avoid making these mistakes. And by the end of this video, we'll have you on track to becoming a profitable sports bettor. Mistake number 1, you're only signed up for one sportsbook account. Whether it's just having Prizepicks or just having FanDuel, if you don't have multiple sportsbooks, you are putting yourself at an extreme disadvantage. And I say that because a profitable betting opportunity might not exist on the one sportsbook you're signed up for, but does exist on another one, and you want to be able to take advantage of that. And take into consideration, you know how Prizepicks oftentimes bumps a prop or removes it from the board completely? Well, what if you had Underdog, and Underdog still had that prop available, and you were able to play it there at also good value? You want to be able to do that and take advantage of every single betting opportunity that is a profitable betting opportunity you can. So if you're in a state that has a bunch of sportsbooks, you need to be signed up for FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, whatever sportsbooks are available in your state. If you actually want to win money and take this seriously, you need to be signed up for it. You can also sign up for all of those sportsbooks and probably get a deposit match bonus or some type of bonus just for signing up and depositing money on those sportsbooks. Same thing goes for DFS apps. If you're in a state like Florida or maybe California, where you have Prizepicks, Underdog, Parlay Play, Jake Paul's Better, you need to be signed up for all of those because every single app is maybe slightly different or might have different value throughout the days or in different sports, and you want to take advantage of all of these opportunities as I mentioned. So yes, sign up for every single sportsbook or DFS app. That way you are ready to pounce on any value for whatever sportsbook has it. And number 2, probably the biggest reason people are losing money betting on sports is because they are betting with their guts. They think they know ball, as the kids say these days, but in reality, you don't, right? You are watching games, you are seeing rotations of players in the NBA or who gets the ball a lot in the NFL, and you are making bets just based on what you think might happen in that upcoming game, but you don't have all of the data. But there is somebody that does have all of the data, and I want to explain it to you. Now, sure, you can look up last 5 or last 10 game logs and see that Damian Lillard has gone over 24.5 points in 4 out of his last 5 games. You can even look up some matchup stuff, right? How good are the Memphis Grizzlies against shooting guards or point guards, etc. You can look all that up, but you don't have all of the ins and outs and data that the sports books have. These sports books know everything that you think you know or can look up and more. These sports books have multi-million-dollar algorithms and models setting these lines and odds for them, taking everything into consideration like matchups, historical data like last 5, last 10, or matchups versus this team, etc. All of that's baked into the odds of the sportsbooks, so you can use these as data points, and we will get into that a little bit later in this video. So yes, stop betting Patrick Mahomes over pass yards every single week because you think he's the GOAT or the best quarterback in the league, which yes, sure, he is the best quarterback in the league, but that's not the reason you should be betting it. You have to remember that every single week is different, every single game is different, and all of the sportsbooks take that into consideration way more than what you and your brain can take in information by just watching these games or knowing ball. And that brings me to mistake number 3, people not knowing how sportsbook odds work. Some people have no clue what the plus and minus means when it comes to the odds on these sportsbooks, and that's okay. But if you actually want to learn to make money, you need to understand what those mean. Let's look at the moneyline odds for this Thursday Night Football matchup between the Jets and the Texans. We can see the Texans are plus 114 and the Jets are minus 134. What this is saying is that the Jets are favored to beat the Texans via FanDuel Sportsbook. And we know that they're favored because typically this minus number means that that team is favored to win or that outcome is favored to happen. The plus number means that it's less likely to happen. And what that also means is if we were to bet on the Houston Texans to win the game, a $100 wager, you would win $114, which is where you get this plus 114. But let's say we were going to bet the Jets. If you bet $100, you would only win $74.63. You would need to bet $134 in order to win $100 based on these odds. The higher the minus number is, the more favored it is, which means the sportsbooks are saying it's more likely to happen the higher that minus number is. So if this was minus 500, the Jets would be a heavy favorite to beat the Texans. But it's a little bit lower, so there is a better chance for the Texans to win than if it was minus 500. based on how the sportsbooks are pricing these odds. And if the plus number was plus 500, that means the Houston Texans would be a huge underdog and very unlikely to beat the Jets based on those odds. And not to confuse you guys, but there is a plus and minus here underneath the spread. If you don't know what spread betting is, that means whenever you take a team to either win by X amount or the other side for the team to win outright or lose by X amount. For instance, the Texans plus 2.5, if you were going to bet this, you would need the Texans to win outright or lose by 2.5 or less points, so aka 2 points or less for this specific example, in order for you to cash that bet. If you were to take the Jets minus 2.5, you would need the Jets to win by 3 or more points in order to cash this bet. But as you can see underneath, they have minus numbers as well, which are the odds that I've been talking about. And minus 115 would be more favored than minus 105 because minus 105 is creeping towards that plus number, which would mean it's less likely to happen. Not knowing how these odds work could really set you up for failure and to lose a lot of money. Mistake number 4 is you having too much pride, thinking that you know ball instead of taking advantage of innovative technology to help you find profitable sports bets. I'm not sure how much money people have to lose before they find out there are legit websites out there that help you find mathematically profitable sports bets and will help you profit long term. I use a website called Daily Grind Fantasy to compare sportsbooks lines and odds directly back to apps like Prizepicks, Underdog, and Flip to find the best mathematical value that's going to help me profit long term playing on these apps. It simply pulls all of the projections and odds from the sportsbooks and DFS apps into one place for you to quickly and efficiently be able to scan the market and line compare to find the best value. For instance, take Dell, it's listed at 5 receptions on Prizepicks, but if we look across at where the market is establishing this player prop, we see that every single other sportsbook and DFS app have this set to 4.5 receptions. So it's 0.5 higher on Prizepicks. There's clear value taking the under a 5 on Prizepicks when he now needs 6 to actually beat you. Now let's look at this Jason Tatum example that came from Daily Grind Fantasy as well. You can see that Flip, which is a social sportsbook that works just like a regular sportsbook in FanDuel and DraftKings, where you can either straight bet or build parlays. But you can see that Flip had this projection at 26.5 points for Jason Tatum, and so did these other two sportsbooks. However, the odds were vastly different. Flip had this minus 120 to the over, but these other two sportsbooks were heavily favoring the over with these average odds of about minus 161. So they were telling you that based on how they are pricing these odds, they are giving this a 57.5% chance to hit. But based on how Flip is pricing these odds at minus 120, they were giving the over a 3% less chance to hit, so a 54.5% chance to hit rather than 57.5. But whenever you're looking at the entire market as a whole, you have two sportsbooks that are agreeing these odds should be much higher than what Flip is. Flip was stale and off from the rest of the market, so you wanted to take advantage and play this at minus 120 odds on Flip, and it ended up cashing. But why is it so important to line compare and use these sportsbooks as data points when you go to place a bet? That's because if you can find these odds that are way off comparing to the rest of the market that is giving it a really good chance to hit, then you can make and find profitable bets like this. A $100 wager at minus 120 odds, which is what we got it on at Flip, would profit you $83. However, if you were to play it at those average odds of the other two sportsbooks, let's say minus 161 for a $100 wager would be $62 in profit. Just playing it on Flip as opposed to those other sportsbooks, which is why it's important to have as many sportsbooks as you can. That way you can get the best odds possible. You just made $21 extra playing it on Flip instead. And if you do this over the long term, over and over again, that $21 is going to add up and create profit for you. And one more example of just how clutch Daily Grind Fantasy is that it updates in real time. As sportsbooks adjust their lines and odds, it portrays it here on Daily Grind Fantasy as well. However, oftentimes Flip or Prizepicks, some of those DFS apps lag behind the rest of the market when news like this gets announced. So on this specific example, Ja Morant was ruled out for the Grizzlies. That means that Marcus Smart, being the backup point guard, is now going to have a lot more usage in minutes within this game. So his projections that were set for Ja Morant to be playing now are totally having to be adjusted by the sportsbooks because they know that he is going to be playing more and have better opportunities to go over those original lines they set when they thought Ja was going to be in. So as the sportsbooks adjust, Daily Grind Fantasy, portrays it on the website. You can see that now Marcus Smart was becoming a heavy favorite via a lot of these sports books to go over 3.5 assists. However, Fliff had this at plus 105 odds still. They were lagging behind the market in stale, so you were able to take advantage and play this at plus 105, getting the best possible odds and having all these data points telling you this has a really good chance to hit. If you consistently keep getting this good of value in the best possible odds like I've been showing you on all these plays that end up creating profit because you're winning $30 extra here by playing it on this sportsbook instead of these sportsbooks, it all adds up and you will become a profitable sports bettor. Think about it like this. If you are going grocery shopping for the week and if you go to Aldi, it's going to be $100. You go to Walmart, it's going to be $105. Or you go to Publix, where they actually have a bunch of buy one, get one free deals on the stuff that you need, it's going to be $85. But they're all in the same vicinity of each other. Where would you go shopping? You would go to Publix because you are going to save about $15 to $20 by just shopping at Publix on that trip, right? And if you continue going to whatever store you are going to get your groceries the cheapest at, that creates hidden profit, a little bit of savings in your pocket. If you do want to check out Daily Grind Fantasy, I will leave a link down in the description below. And if you use code DustinDGF, you will get 25% off your very first month. And the fifth and final mistake that most sports bettors are doing is not managing their bankroll. And what I mean by that is if you have $500 in your sports betting account, you should not be betting $50 to $100 a bet. Because if you go on a slight losing streak, you are done in 5 to 10 bets, and there goes your bankroll. You're going to have to redeposit. You should never be betting more than 1% of your bankroll on a single bet or a slip, right? If you have $500, you should be betting $5 per bet, right? That's just kind of the general rule, 1%. If you have $1,000 across your sports betting accounts, you should never be betting more than $10 per bet. Even if you're consistently finding mathematically profitable bets, you are still going to run into negative variance, and you need to be able to withstand that. Think about it like this. If you are on Prizepicks playing a 6 flex slip type and you are going for that 25x payout, you could lose your first 18 slips and then hit the very next one and you would be profitable over that stretch. But if you had a $500 bankroll and you were betting $50 on each slip, you would have never made it to that 19th slip in order to become profitable playing those slip types. The goal is to keep yourself in the game as long as possible to fight off that negative variance, because positive variance is also a thing. There's going to be times where you feel like you can't miss a bet, and that's great. That's going to do good things for your bankroll. But if you go and bet $50 on every single slip when you don't have the bankroll for it, you are going to diminish that and just absolutely X out that positive variance and not even get through the negative variance that we talked about before. This goes along with managing your bankroll as well. If you got really good value for the day baseball games, but you still ended up losing money for those games, right? Don't go chasing your losses, right? Don't go betting the night baseball games or NBA games with bad value because you just want to sweat for those games or you're trying to win your money back. Please, only bet bets that are good long-term profitable value, and you will be profitable sports betting. That's going to be it. Hopefully you guys learned something from this video and you stop making these mistakes and become profitable sports bettors. However, on the way out, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, because we post sports betting content like this every single week.